Hey guys, this is Tanner Invest here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to get into a video primarily on BMNR, Bitmine Emergent Technologies. They just reported earnings, and in that earnings report, there was some great news that they came out with. One is that they announced in 2026 quarter one, they're going to be coming out with staking. And right now they're running a pilot with three different staking providers out there, which I'm going to try to pinpoint who I think, and it's completely a gamble, but who I think that they're using for their staking services. And I want to talk about the fact that they have a dividend now, pretty interesting. And then also, I just want to talk a little bit more about the October 10th event. And if you've been watching any Tom Lee as of recently, Tom Lee has actually gone on CNBC and has given more info into what happened on October 10th. That day, which I'll show my screen here, where we had a open of 121,000, a close of 113,000, but you can see this candle here, this low of 102,000. I mean, if you were watching like I was in real time, I remember calling my wife in and be like, what the heck's going on? There was a massive drawdown in stocks. I was trying to buy Bitcoin at the low. I was trying to buy Solana at the low. And, you know, from here, we've gone down further since then, so it doesn't really matter. But there was exchanges that literally weren't letting you even buy because the market makers were being wiped out in real time. So there's a little bit more info that came out because Tom Lee went on an interview and talked about how this was actually a glitch that happened from an exchange where their stable coin got mispriced, where, you know, stablecoin should be trading pegged right with the dollar. It actually got unpegged off the dollar and was trading at 65 cents to the dollar, which is not good at all. The reason why was apparently there was an exchange that was trading and they were using only their quotes internally. And so that slippage ended up causing a ripple effect, like a tsunami throughout the entire market, because once they started, their algos kind of caught thread of this, they ended up selling, and then it caused more selling and more selling and more selling, and just a huge ripple effect. Now, one thing that could have happened, Tom Lee says, is that if they were using quotes from multiple exchanges, so not just relying on their own internal quotes, but all kinds of different exchanges, which is a practice that's been used in the market for a long time on an equity side, you need to be making sure that, you know, you have all that data in front of you, what's really happening across multiple exchanges, not just yours. So I actually have some more info on that because AI has seemed to solve who this was, which exchange. I'm not pointing fingers. I have no idea if this is true or not. This, I just validated myself. Both Grok and I use Gemini are both saying that the exchange provider was Binance, and it was the stablecoin USDE, which was issued by Athena Labs. And man, this was not really good for what's happened. And so you can see the price of Bitcoin since then has just fallen and fallen and fallen. Now, the reason why is because a lot of these market makers got wiped out. It caused just more pressure to sell, more pressure to, you know, get afloat. But also, I think there's been some trust in the environment in crypto that just needs to get regained. We've seen this time and time again. I'll actually show you this because in times where leverage has fallen, which we've seen, this one was the biggest ever, bigger than the FTX collapse, bigger than COVID. More leverage got wiped in this event than ever before. And you can see that the price trailing that event has fallen. And this has happened in the past too. We can see earlier in the year in that that March-April timeframe, we can see that there was a drawdown on leverage, and then that caused the price to fall. And then back toward the middle of last year in 2024, we can see that's happened. So a lot of times the price follows that leverage event. And over time, it's just going to take some time. And there might be a little bottoming here. You can see a lot of times there's quite a bit of kind of consolidation before people gain their trust and start building up the leverage again in cryptocurrency. So who knows? You know, TrendSpider said it well. Is this the bottom or not? It kind of looks like it's the bottom, but who knows? Honestly, no one. So Tom Lee has been calling the bottom. Maybe he's looking at similar charts. But I wanted to address something too, guys. I know a lot of people have been asking, Tanner, are you still in SBET? Are you still buying SBET? And all of that. And what about BMNR? So I'll tell you guys my quick thoughts. I'm still holding my SBET. Obviously, I'm pretty down on my position. I got in way too early. I've been, since day one, I've been in these digital asset treasury companies, and we see since then they've all kind of been falling. Now, that being said, the reason why I keep buying BMNR over SBET is kind of what we see in this weekly chart. So BitMine over the past week is up 21%, and SharpLink is up 10%. Now, that doesn't matter. It's only 1 week, right? But my point is the MNAV contraction that's happened over the past, couple months, where ETH has drawn down quite a bit after October 10th. BMNR, we can see, is still down 25% in 3 months and even farther from its highs. Now, the MNAV contraction has been the most significant on BMNR than it has been on SBET. And so what I think, since they hold the most ETH, they're coming out with staking here soon. There's a lot of, obviously, catalysts out there that I've talked about time and time again here in the next couple months, like the Clarity Act, and there's more ETH, like BlackRock ETFs coming out and things that are just super bullish. I really think that the contraction from BMNR was more than SBET, and I think that it will rubber band back. So I think that the gain potential in the next couple months on BMNR is going to be more significant than SBET, and I could be wrong. So other than that, let's go ahead and jump into the earnings report here. So they do a slideshow just like the chairman's message. And the main thing I wanted to talk about, well, they have their annual shareholder meeting, but I wanted to talk about their staking. So they announced MAVAN, which is Made in America Validator Network. So they are choosing they're selecting 3 top staking providers for a focused pilot to test capabilities as we advance and scale our own best-in-class Made in America Validator Network. Over the last few months, BitMine evaluated leading staking providers and launched a pilot program with 3 finalists to assess their performance. As we prepare to scale our own Validator Network, we will move forward with a select group of these potential partners. And then they expect to go live the first quarter of 2026. And so let's talk a little bit more about what this is. And I've talked about this in my SBET videos a lot, because SBET, they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to assess and they have to choose staking providers. They were so aligned with the hip with consensus that this is kind of what Joseph Lubin and Joe Challam have been talking about this entire time. They already have the infrastructure in place from consensus because they are a leading liquidity provider out there, and really, really good option for that service. So why would they use anybody else when they can get essentially better rates? They have cohesion with employees and everything like that. They know how their systems work. So they just chose consensus from the very beginning, and they've already been staking. So BMNR, the reason why they've taken a while is because they wanted to get all their ducks in a row before they started staking, to make sure all these 4 things we're going to talk about here are set. So their evaluation criteria for MAVAN were using several native staking providers, which they wanted to make sure they're safe and secure, performance and reward yield generation. I get into what this means. 3 is the ability to run dedicated infrastructure, and then the overall service quality and support. So I think the most important from our perspective, I guess, we want to make sure they're getting a highest yield, but sometimes we have to sacrifice the reward yield gen by the security of the system. Okay. So I know people think that they can get anywhere from 3 to 5%, depending on in staking yield. And that's going to determine a lot on how secure that operation is. So you got to give some to get some on security. And then ability to run dedicated infrastructure. I mean, that's just saying they're not a small fish, they're a big fish. So this number 2 here, the performance and reward yield generation. So for example, SBET announced they're using EtherFi to access EigenLayer, the protocol, to be able to restake. So they can use their ETH once, and they can restake that ETH again to earn additional yield. And then there's also incentive providers out there. Like I mentioned in another video, it's similar to like your credit cards, right? You're going to use the best credit card in each situation to make sure you're getting some sort of yield back on your cash back rewards or something like that. A lot of these providers out there for staking, they offer incentives. They say, okay, use my network and you get this back. And so when you combine all of the different yields from staking, restaking, and the incentives, that's how you're going to get the highest yield generation. And so they're evaluating all kinds of different infrastructure players to decide who they're going to use. And so this, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the next step. The company selected 3 initial pilot partners. So they're choosing 3 to conduct a live test on their staking capabilities using a small portion of our ETH. The test is designed to monitor performance and further evaluate pilot members' operations and service quality. We plan to partner with 1 or more of these pilot partners, plus world-class infrastructure providers to scale our own Made in America validated network over the coming quarter. Although many off-the-shelf offerings exist, we believe in building the premier destination for our natively staked Ether and are proud to build with the best partners. Now, who are the partners? Let's scroll down a little bit, because we got to remember who in every single slide that they release, they talk about our partners in exponential growth. A few of these, like Kraken, Galaxy, and Falcon X, actually have some custodial services, and they also offer staking. So we can go Falcon X, from their website, what we do. They have staking services here. Kraken, staking for institutions, and Galaxy, staking secure and scalable staking solutions. So if I had to guess, guys, I mean, I'm assuming they talk to all 3 of these companies. Now, there are some other players out there as well. Coinbase is massive. I know SBET, I believe, has worked a little bit with Coinbase. I know BMNR in the past has worked with Coinbase, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were an option as well. And then there are a couple of other ones like Figment. They're a big, I mean, this is all they do really is most mainly staking. And then Blockdaemon. So there's quite a lot of options. But if I had to guess, and I really, really hope, like I showed you earlier, I hope Galaxy is one of those partners. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kraken's actually, I believe, about to IPO, or they're looking to IPO and go public. Pretty interesting. And then the only other news I'm going to get into real quick is that Ethereum is about to release their Fusaka upgrade coming December 3rd. This apparently is going to be, and I'm not the biggest Ethereum expert in the world. I feel like I know a lot, but in terms of the actual protocol and upgrades, couldn't tell you, because I don't code and I don't build on the network. So, but the Fusaka upgrade is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest upgrade in the history of Ethereum. And so we can go through this thread real quick if you're interested. So Fusaka for Ethereum users. Fusaka brings Ethereum closer to the ease of consumer apps, faster, safer, and easier to use. Data scaling means near instant transactions. Mobile-ready wallets will more cheaply support passkey for secure logins using your phone's hardware. Fusaka for rollups and L2s. So PeerDAS will unlock up to 8x data throughput by validating data via sampling. For rollups, this means cheaper blob fees and more space to grow, all while keeping the network decentralized. And then Fusaka for app and DeFi builders. So it builds a ground layer of instant feel for user experiences. Fusaka for node operators. It upgrades grow capacity while keeping node ops sustainable. It increases the gas limit from 45 million to 60 to expand throughput, which great. And then Fusaka for enterprises, it will now be easier to integrate blockchain infrastructure into existing corporate security standards. I mean, that's massive. And then Fusaka is a proof of dependent progress, 2 major upgrades in 1 year, evolving in public. So that's great, guys. I think that from what I've heard, and actually Tom Lee has talked about this as well, Fusaka is pretty big. And then Tevis has a pretty good point here. The last upgrade, we did see Pectra upgrade. We did see a pretty big bump in an ETH price after that upgrade got released. Now, that doesn't mean that this is going to happen again, but just something to note. Potentially, this upgrade could come with some price action as well. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys don't mind, I'm getting close to 5K, like I said. I'd love to get some more subs out there. So thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.